technology world. This is Gabriel Smith, and I'm doing this webcast to ask the simple question: is it time to bury the berry? Is it time to bury BlackBerry? Some of you may have seen the news today. I believe it happened today, that there is an announcement that BlackBerry will be selling its shares to a investment company called Fairfax. I believe Fairfax is a Canadian investment company, and BlackBerry has already agreed to sell to them. But from my perspective, I'm like, what's the point? Why would even Fairfax be interested in buying BlackBerry? It looks like it's an investment company. So what is it doing buying a technology company? I mean, are they planning to actually run BlackBerry? And if they are, what are they going to do with it? I mean, I don't know what you can run BlackBerry into except for running it into the ground. Now, me, myself, I am a technology person. I've posted many YouTube Unix videos on this site. And I used to love BlackBerry. My first smartphone was a BlackBerry. I think BlackBerry pretty much created the concept of smartphones. I remember a time when PDAs came onto the market. I think the Palm was the first PDA to come on the market. And then shortly after, there was Palm, and I think I used to have a Palm. And I also used to have something that HP made that I thought was pretty neat. It was the thing that HP had, I believe at the time, was pretty much a computer almost. And I think I actually lost that. But sometime after, BlackBerry started to become really popular. And at first, it was something that you could expect to see CEOs carrying around, but eventually it became affordable for everybody to get. And sometime after that, I got a BlackBerry, and I was impressed, and I really loved it. And I think eventually Apple came out with their iPhone, and everybody was rushing to get one. But I was one of those people that was actually loyal to BlackBerry, and I had absolutely no intentions of buying an iPhone. And eventually I noticed that smartphones start to evolve, and BlackBerry wasn't evolving. They didn't seem to be evolving. And at first, I didn't really think much of it, but then I think the first Google phone was advertised. And the thing that I noticed about the Google phone, the thing that attracted me to the Google phone was the size of the screen. The size of the screen actually attracted me to the Google phone. So I still held out. I held out for a very, very long time. But I think the thing that made me eventually get a Google phone was the fact that at the time my BlackBerry was eating up batteries. It got to the point where I just couldn't charge this thing no matter how much I tried. And the batteries would last like maybe 30 minutes. And I got to the point where I was walking around. The phone that I had was maybe two years old, and it got to the point where I was walking around with 2 and 3 batteries just to keep my BlackBerry alive, and the batteries were costing me something like $40 a pop. And I was like, you know what, this is it. I just have to get rid of this thing. And at first, I was just going to go and get another BlackBerry, but when I started to look at the prices of a BlackBerry and comparing it to something that I was interested in, which was a Google phone at the time, I was like, I think it's time for me to try, the Google phone. I wasn't really interested in all those different applications. To be honest with you, I have a Samsung Nexus, a Google Nexus phone, and it's pretty old. But I'm not really, I can't say I'm not interested in applications. I like the fact that there's a lot of applications there when I'm ready to actually use them. But for the most part, I'm overwhelmed with applications. I have so much on my plate, I can't play around with all this stuff. But, so needless to say, I went from the Google phone, and then I eventually got a Nexus, and that's where I am right now. But it just seems to me like BlackBerry didn't really do anything to kind of catch up. I think maybe they just relied on their corporate environment or the enterprise environment. They were expecting that that was going to carry them through, and I think they pretty much just they blatantly ignored the the casual market, the non-business market, the non-business. They ignored the non-corporate environment, the everyday people, and that came at a huge price. And I think it's the number one reason that they're tanking right now. So the question is it time to bury them? Is it time to bury them? I myself thought that BlackBerry really stood a chance when they were talking about making their applications compatible with Android. We're making their operating system, the BlackBerry OS, compatible with Android, in the sense that if you wanted to get some Android applications on your BlackBerry, you could. I thought that was a really good idea, and I thought it would have saved them. And I have to be honest with you, I didn't keep track on it, but it seemed like they came out with their new BlackBerry phone, and it didn't seem to do much for them. They just lost so much market share that it just didn't make any sense. So now, instead of, I still thought they should have sold. Maybe they should have sold to IBM a while back. I think maybe 1 year ago, IBM was considered buying them. I don't know if they were considered buying them or that it was recommended that IBM should buy them. But I think they should have marketed themselves to IBM, because IBM probably could have made really good use of them. Some of the other things I think they should have tried is, I think I did a post on the Ubuntu Superphone. I believe that BlackBerry and Ubuntu could have had a really good partnership by making a superphone. That probably would have gotten a bit of buzz going, and I think it would have gotten a lot of sales. It would have drawn people back to BlackBerry, but I think they would have to make some efforts to capture either the Apple customers or the Samsung customers, or hell, both. In the perfect world, it would be nice to see them make a operating system that would allow you to download Apple applications and Android applications. But realistically, that's probably a bit much. But I think they should have targeted one of the different markets. They should have either went for Android, or they should have went directly for Google and partnered up with Ubuntu. I think Ubuntu really has a really good idea with the Superphone. A partnership with BlackBerry could have really made a difference. So, getting back to this sale to Fairfax, I'm not sure what Fairfax is going to do with BlackBerry. I'm looking right now at the financial statements for BlackBerry, and we're looking at the quarterly data, and we're just going to look at the net income here. And you can see for 2013, June 2013, they're in the hole for $84 million. They're in the hole. So you're starting to see a lot of loss there. As compared to the loss that they received in 2012, it's a little bit minuscule, I guess, but it's a loss nonetheless. Then if you look at the annual data for 2013, they're expecting to lose $646 million. So, it's on a decline. What is it that Fairfax is going to do with BlackBerry? I just don't see what they could do with it. I'm not saying that BlackBerry is a total loss. I really should have maybe changed the heading of this presentation to really pose the question, is it over for BlackBerry? But I believe it is. It's going to take a miracle. It's going to take an absolute miracle to turn BlackBerry around. Now, I do want to highlight some positives I noted. One of the positives is that, I've been speaking to people kind of like internationally. And one thing I hear is that in places like Africa and maybe India, BlackBerry is pretty popular and they still have a international market. The other thing that I noticed is that BlackBerry has about $1.5 billion in cash. They also don't have any debt. And they have about $9.4 billion in equity. So, those are some good things, despite the fact that they're losing cash fast, and despite the fact that their market, the North American market for BlackBerry products seem to have dried up. I think maybe there is a glimmer of hope, but I think it's just going to really take a miracle. So, at any rate, I really want to know what the community thinks about BlackBerry. I really want to know if, the technology world thinks that there could be a comeback in store for BlackBerry. So, again, what do you think? Is it over for BlackBerry? I love to see your video response. I love to read your comments, so on and so forth. So please subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, comments, and concerns, send me an email at busy386. I also do Unix videos, how-to videos from time to time, and if you want to see something specific, please do send me an email at busy386@gmail.com. Thank you for your time.